In session number 6 of Flash here, we're going to take a look at building characters, and not quite to the extent that we did in Adobe Illustrator, but there are a few little tricks in Flash that are kind of quick and I'd like for you to know about. Now, as far as the animation goes, you don't have to do all that much with it today. You see what I've got here is this robot that I created, and he kind of comes up out of the corner and he wiggles a little bit, and it's a very short movie and there's nothing terribly fancy about the animation. I do want you to animate your character just a little bit, but really the session is mostly today about creating some tools that you can use to create a character and kind of put it together. It's not as hard as you may think. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and close this movie, and we'll start this off by creating a new movie, and I'm going to zoom up on it here. I'm going to do a fit-in window. I'm going to make a robot, but you can make a different kind of character. You can do a robot if you want to, but I'm going to make you could do a different character if you want. Now, really, this is kind of about using some basic shapes and knowing what some of the tools do. Like, here's an example. I'm going to make a robot arm. Not going to be anything real fancy, but I'm going to work on a robot arm. Now, I've got the rectangle tool, and I'm going to tell it up here that I don't want an outline, and that can be kind of important here. I don't want an outline on this. I'm going to just use black. You could use whatever. I guess gray wouldn't be a bad color for a robot, so I'll go to a dark gray here, and that'll be fine. And I'm just going to work on one arm. Well, okay. I'm going to draw kind of a thin rectangle like that. I'll take my black arrow tool, and by the way, keyboard shortcut for the black arrow is the letter V, and keyboard shortcuts can really help you here. Then I'm going to take the transform tool, which keyboard shortcut is the letter Q, and I'm just going to tilt that a little bit and make it kind of like that. Alright, now I'm going to go back to the rectangle tool, keyboard shortcut is the letter R, and I'll make a part of the arm that extends down kind of like that. Alright, now I'm going to go back to the black arrow tool, and here's one of the things that a lot of people don't realize about Flash until somebody tells them. Using the black arrow tool, if I point carefully at the corner of this rectangle, I can pull it and just, it kind of snaps right to that edge right there. And I can do the same thing with this corner. I can snap it right to that edge right there. And I've got kind of a basic arm shape here a little bit, and I'm building by just combining these basic shapes. If I select this now, it's kind of all one piece. Those pieces kind of snapped right together. Now, if I want this elbow joint to be a little wider, I can use the white arrow tool. If I click on this with the white arrow tool, or if I drag in there, you'll see these little anchor points. So we kind of did this sort of thing with Adobe Illustrator. You can adjust this a little bit by using the white arrow. It's the second tool down on the toolbar, and you just kind of drag in here and you'll see these little control points, and you can adjust them and sort of adjust the shape of whatever it is that you're working on making. Alright, so if I want that as an arm, gosh, that works pretty good. Now I'm going to go back to the black arrow tool again, and here's an old trick from Adobe Illustrator. If I hold down the Alt key and drag this, I can make another arm. Now I'm not going to want two arms that are kind of hanging the same way, so what I would do here is touch the Q key to get the transform tool. It's the third tool down on the toolbar, and just transform it and flip it like that. Just pull it straight across. And now you can see I've got like two arms here. Alright, well, let's kind of keep working here a little bit. I'll move these down some, just select them and move them down. And I'll go back to the rectangle tool, and we'll kind of make what's going to be like the chest piece of the robot, and take the black arrow, and I'll just click that and move it up a little. Now I can click this arm over here and sort of attach that. Now if I just kind of carefully come up here and grab a corner handle and snap that right to there, and grab a corner right there and snap that to there, and his arms are kind of long, but that's okay. Same kind of thing here. I can snap this over to here just using the black arrow and grabbing those little corners and pulling them over. It takes a little practice to get used to. This is almost looking like a rocket ship, but it'll work. So I got some arms, and now you'll notice that if I select that, that's all one piece. Everything there is one piece. These basic shapes are just kind of building and sticking right together, and that's kind of what I want. All right. Now I'm going to work on kind of a claw-shaped hand here for this for this robot, and let me show you how I'm going to do that. I'll make an oval, and again, it's the same deal as before. It's no outline, it's just got a gray color to it. Now I'm going to make another oval, but just for a moment here I'm going to change color, and I'll make another kind of longer, thinner oval. Use the black arrow tool. I'm going to lay that oval right like that. Now again, here's a little quirky thing about Flash. You see what I did here? It's a gray oval, and I got a green oval on top of it. If I come along here and click on that green oval now and just touch delete on the keyboard, look what it did. And we've kind of talked about that before. When you overlap objects in Flash, they tend to, it kind of eats away what's underneath it. So that looks like a good claw shape, and I might want two of those, so I'll hold the Alt key and drag that, and I can bring this over here, touch the Q key on the keyboard to transform a little bit if I want to angle it some, and I could just kind of move it up there and see it's attached to that arm now. Same kind of thing down here. I've got the Q key here. I'll angle that just a bit and attach that right there. And I've got hands for my robot. And again, if I select that with the black arrow, it's all because of the way Flash works. When you get things touching and overlapping, they just kind of combine, unless sometimes if they're different colors they won't. Here's an example of that. Let's say that I want to work on some legs for this robot, so I'll go back to the rectangle tool and get a lighter shade of gray, and I'll draw kind of a leg like that, and I'll draw something like that. Okay, now I'm going to take the white arrow tool, and well, actually I could do this with the black arrow probably. I'm going to take this black arrow and stick this corner kind of like this, and stick this corner kind of like this, and then I'm going to take this corner and just kind of move it up. See, I want that's how I'm going to make my robot's feet or legs or whatever you want to call it. And I'll just move that up there. Now I would like to have another one of those, so I'll Alt drag that. And I might, just because I want there to be a little difference there. There we go. Made that a little bit narrower so that they are not quite so thick. There we go. I have a slight problem there with a spot, but I'm not going to worry about that. I could fix that pretty easily. But I've got legs for my robot. Cool. All right, so I'm making really good progress here. I'm doing well. So I'm going to just add a head of some kind, and I'll just select all of this guy and move him down a little bit. And I'll go back to the rectangle tool once again and go back to my darker gray color that I had before. I'm going to make it a little neck like that. And gosh, I could make the head a lot of ways, but here, let me show you this. I'll make an oval up here, and then I'll make a rectangle. I'm going to use the same trick I did for his hands. I'll make this a different color just temporarily, lay that over the top of that, and then if I select that green rectangle and touch the delete key, I get this kind of thing, and I can put that head like right there. Cool. Lovely. All right. And then I could draw in whatever kind of eyes that I want, and I think I'll give him some sinister looking red. Oh, you know what? I'm going to Control Z undo that, because I want to make that out here and use I'll select it and use my transform tool to tilt that, and I'll give him some sinister looking. I probably should have Alt dragged before. Nope, it's going to work out okay. Sinister looking red eyes like that. Yeah, he's a pretty sinister looking robot. And I could add other details here, but I want to get on to another tool here that you ought to know about. Over on the toolbar there's a paint bucket. It's pretty easy to identify. It looks like a bucket that's pouring paint out. But if you click and hold, you'll see that there is an ink bottle tool right here. Here's what the ink bottle tool does. When you select the ink bottle tool, you can come up here and pick a stroke color. Red wouldn't be bad, but I think what I'll use is black. And you can pick a stroke thickness. All right, and I'm going to take it down a little bit. I'll make it 2 points thick, 2 pixels thick. So it's black, 2 pixels thick, solid. And here's what the ink bucket tool, or the ink tool does, the ink bottle. If I click on an object, it outlines it for me. And you notice all that dark gray was combined together. So all of the area that was has a dark gray border to it got outlined with that black outline. I can do the same thing to his legs down here. They're a lighter gray, and I can click on them to outline them like that. So again, I'm just adding some nice detail to my character here, and you could, like I said, you could make a robot if you want to. You could make something else if you want to. It's really up to you. Now, to finish this off, I'll touch V to get my black arrow and get him all selected here, and maybe I'm just going to do touch Q and make him a little smaller. And there we go. I'm just going to do some quick animation, and it's not going to be anything fancy at all. You know, I can press F6 and just make sure he's all selected here. I could group him, I guess, if I wanted to. I think he's really pretty much together anyway, but I could group him if I wanted to. But I'll just make him walk across. The animation part of it doesn't have to be anything big and fancy today. Now, I know you might be looking at something like this and thinking, oh gosh, it'd be nice to make his arms move around, make his arm reach up or reach down. And that's something we'll kind of get into later. It's not as easy as you might think. But I'm just doing some quick animation here with adding some frames and you know, just made him move around a little bit, make him get bigger here, just for fun, and make him do a little robotic flip. You know, how you animate him doesn't really make that much difference today. Mostly it's about knowing those little tricks that you can do with those drawing tools. I showed you how basic shapes will combine, and you can make subtractions like I did with the head and the hand, and that ink bottle tool is a nice feature. And so if I press enter, you know, my animation's not that great. It just moves around, does a flip. There we go. Yay. But it's good enough for today. All right. So when you get this one done, and notice mine's not very long. It's not even 65 frames. It's less than, the length doesn't matter today, really. It's more of a matter of building the character, animate it a little bit, off you go. So when you get done, it's File and Save As, and you get to your network drive, and you can just call this one Character. All right, and save it on your network drive, and then you got to drag it and drop it and turn it into your turn-in folder on Drive L. So that will do it